some rain must fall, and you'll get wet as your sorrow calls. Oh, the sun will rise on a brand new morn. You'll be warm and dry and freshly born.
With support from Judith Robert and in the memory of our good friend Tom Kapazinskis, and with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation and the Indiana Arts Commission, Marshall County Tourism, and E. Lee Marshall. From historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Lincoln Highway and Michigan Road cross the banks of the beautiful Yellow River, it's the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. Tonight's show features a group from Minneapolis, Minnesota, fronted by a singer-songwriter whose creative journey with COVID, while quarantined in her house, led to the creation of an album full of interesting songs, many inspired by the spaces and lived resonances of the house itself. As the songs were completed in the songwriter's bedroom, they traveled just across the hall to the room of Adeline Stry, a multi-instrumentalist and audio producer who would work on the arrangements and help craft them into a fine new album entitled Still Life. Joined by percussionist Peter Kursfeld and bassist Pat Keene, the band emerged from quarantine and is ready to perform these beautiful arrangements, along with selections off of their earlier albums, right here in our studio today. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome the thoughtful and gracious songwriter, Siri Undlin, and her amazing band, Humbird, to the Wild Rose Moon stage. And now, recorded live from the Wild Rose Moon Performing Arts Center in historic downtown Plymouth, Indiana, where the Art Deco Reese Theater is soon to enjoy its second lifetime of excitement and inspiration for the benefit of the local and regional community, here is the radical rascal of all things lunar, or a lunatic, your Radio Hour host, George Schricker!
The river goes round, around the bend. The river goes round, round, round till the very end. And when it stops, woo, it starts again. It won't be long till the river goes round. It won't be long till the river goes round and round and round. Thank you so much, and welcome to Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. We're here with Jacob Marino. Jacob, it's spring at last.
It's great, yeah.
Yeah, terrific.
Nice and sunny, except for that little bit of snow right then and there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, well, I was interested though. That I have on Facebook by default, and I got a little message from someone who actually loved that little snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know. It was. I thought, well, it just depends on how you look at things. So, hey, we have something new and exciting today, don't we? Going on?
Yes, that's correct, Maestro. We have words of wisdom from our resident soothsayer, poetess, and philosopher, Rosie. Rosie sits atop my announcing booth here at the Moon. She is ringed with wild roses around her head, multicolored dreadlocks down her back, wears a silken dress with pea green petals, and sports a natural curled wool yoke around her neck. Rosie is always ready to dispense thoughts that are, in the words of Carl the skateboarder, both rad and gnarly. Her ideas spring from her hands, both of which are verdant green leaves, which quite mysteriously always hold a note conferring her thoughts. John, take it away.
We have a note from Rosie. This note was wrote by Rosie. It's a wonder of a note, fresh off a ferry boat. If we voted on a quote, this note we'd vote the goat. We have a note from Rosie.
That was just beautiful, and we do have a note from Rosie, and she's really good at composing. A lot of these she's good with using a computer and a printer too,
which is really marvelous. And I'll give this note to you, and I was hoping you could read it. It's appropriate for Earth Day. It's for you, maybe, I don't know how many of you know Robin Wall Kimmerer's work, but she has written a wonderful book called Braiding Sweetgrass, a beautiful book. She's a botanist and also a Native American citizens band, Potawatomi, which were right here, actually, many, many years ago, lived right here, some of those people. And this is a note from her book, Braiding Sweetgrass. So read it for us.
Action on behalf of life transforms us because the relationship between self and the world is reciprocal. It is not a question of first getting enlightened or saved and then acting. As we work to heal the earth heals us.
Good advice. Good advice for Earth Day. So we all need to buckle down and work on that. John, tell me a little bit about, I gave you that challenge just a couple days ago to write the theme song. You did a lovely job.
Oh, thank you. Well, I like a challenge, of course.
I know.
But see, I've written, as you know, many hundreds of songs.
Yes, that's true.
And I come up with lots of ideas that don't ever get turned into songs, really. They're just ideas floating around. And if I were to count them up, I would probably say that I've come up with infinity ideas.
Wow.
But I don't have enough time to turn them all into songs.
Well, you're as philosophical as Rosie.
Thank you.
Well, maybe we should turn you into into a theme song.
So I was playing my guitar one night, and it was time to put the kids to bed, and I don't know, my wife said, I'm assuming, I don't quite remember how the night went, but she said something about, can you help Lily get her jammies on? So I got a guitar in hand, so I started singing, where are your jammies, Lily? And then most of the rest of the song, I mean, like a lot of that, the melody, I had the different parts. I won't play the whole jammy song for you. But
maybe some other day,
I had some lyrics about where these things might be, all the places we should look or whatever.
Sure.
But they weren't very good. It was just off the spot,
So you were able
to... I liked the music, and I thought, well, that one's probably never going to be a hit.
Oh, I don't know.
So I carried it around, and when you asked about the Rosie thing, it wasn't my original idea to just steal that and reuse it. But I thought, I want it to feel kind of like this, and I want it to move in this way. And then I thought, wait, I already wrote that. So then I just plugged it into that old thing. So that's where that comes from.
Well, stay around afterwards because Rosie wants to give you a kiss.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that'll be nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for that explanation, and we'll talk more about that later. But first, we want to talk with this wonderful band we have here, Humbird. How exciting. And before we go on too much, and I start blabbing because we've talked a lot already, why don't you just all do a song?
We'd love to. The first one we're going to do is called May.
gracious gift of a song is that? That's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And it seems it has a lot of healing energy into it, and kind of almost it feels personal yet collective.
Oh,
So very
thanks.
nice, very nice. And why don't you talk to me about your band members here? I'm going to let you introduce them, and we got a lot of people up here, and
yeah.
why don't you go ahead and tell me about them?
Okay, wow. There's so much to say. Well, right next to me is Pat Keene. He's playing bass and singing backup vocals. One of my best friends. We've been playing music together for a while now.
Did you play hockey with him when you were young?
I didn't, but we play hockey together now, just for fun on the frozen rinks.
Okay.
Basically, all of Minnesota turns into a hockey rink in winter.
Yeah.
That's an exaggeration.
She
but
absolutely shreds me.
Yeah. Oh, I believe that. Yes, I've
You're
read
really good too, Pat. We have fun.
I've read
we
the
rip around.
interviews.
Pat is an amazing musician, also a sports aficionado. So he really keeps me up to date on what's going on in the sports world too. I appreciate that. Yeah. So that's Pat. There's so much more to say.
I know.
I'll leave it at that for
That's
now.
okay. We've only got a short amount of time, but that was great.
Next to Pat is Pete Korsfeld. He is an amazing percussionist and composer, and also has a very, very impressive knack for fixing or figuring out how things work. I think of it as like a superpower, but I don't know if Pete would agree that it's magic. I think he would say it is just the physics that surround us at all times. But
When you say things, do you mean mechanical things?
yeah,
Really anything.
Pete can fix
Tech?
a lot.
Tech? Is he good with tech?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
build computers sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Pete is our physics wizard and a great listener. That is another one of Pete's.
Well, he's applying a lot of good physics principles with his drums.
Truly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next to Pete is Addie Stry. She is, we're all very close, very dear friends up here. And Addie is the most recent addition to the Humbird ensemble, but has long been a collaborator of all of ours. And she plays all the instruments. And even the ones she hasn't played yet, she can play. She just hasn't tried. She's one of those musicians.
And what about you? Was guitar the first instrument you picked up, or did you?
My
play?
first instrument was piano,
Right.
but Addie is much better at piano than me.
Yeah.
Best. Pete also plays piano. Pat, you could probably take a crack at it too if you needed to. We've got options
Right.
for piano, but Addie plays synths and woodwinds in this band and many other bands, and she produced our most recent record, which is for those who maybe don't play music or make records. The producer relationship, in my mind, is very sacred, and it was just such a pleasure to collaborate and bring music into the world for that weird time in our lives.
I'd say co-produce, because Siri and I really made all the decisions together in my tiny bedroom long ago.
The
Not that long
decisions were like Addie doing really, really cool things and me making the hard decisions of what should like maybe stay permanently.
Oh, I see. Right.
So it's good that we got through that as friends. It was very easy and fun, but that process isn't always a pleasure, but it was, and yeah, we're just really glad Addie's on the road with us right now.
Now, did you work out these other parts together then?
Siri and I did most things alone, and then brought a lot, like kind of the maps to these guys, and they added parts, which is sort of the opposite of how we'd probably normally record a record in non-quarantine times.
Mm-hmm.
We'd probably have the rhythm section there right away helping make decisions, but they added parts last.
Right. Now tell me about this grand house, which I mean you've featured on your posters. I mean you've got this house on your posters. And I'm very interested. You know, we had a little interview. There's a little interview of Siri and I up online. Really, it's just Siri now because I cut myself
You
out.
cut yourself
wisely,
out of it.
Wisely. And because Siri had so much great stuff to say. But I was thinking, what about this house? What do you? Can you talk about the house? Because I love houses. I love spaces. And I just wonder, what is it about the space there?
Well, it was really our whole world for a long time. this house in Minneapolis was a 3-bedroom that housed 5 people.
Adults.
Adult
5
people
adults.
that
Yeah.
were 5 adults that were not ever planning on being in the house at the same time because 3 of us were touring musicians. And so we were like, we can do it. We'll never see each other. 2 weeks later, the pandemic hit. And so we, although it was kind of, in a lot of ways felt like a prison or something. I don't know if that's the way to describe it, but it was like our world. We called it a snow globe sometimes because it was just, there was so much nuance to notice within the confines of our house. And I think a lot of this record is taking note of that minutia inside and through the windows in our neighborhood and turning that into a musical journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
well
the
said,
music,
Addie.
the music and the songwriting sort of ensouled the whole experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It was, I think, when you're a musician in the world moving around a lot, that informs your music. And it was a really radical shift, almost like a completely different creative experience to instead focus on the domestic in the sense of like the kitchen sink and also the corner grocery store and the cats. And it was a challenge, but I think an important way to explore creativity in a different context.
Explore some more for us. Okay?
Well,
Give us another song.
oh yeah, absolutely. Let's do Plum Sky. Addie and I often joked that every song on this record that we made was like a different room in the house. And this next song that we're going to do is called Plum Sky, and it was the basement shower.
Burned my skin in the water. I didn't mind it. At least it was a field and that was different. The moon was hot and high. If you don't keep an eye on what's moving through the steam and on the rise, it was a dream and it was real life there beneath a plum sky. Turn my body around, I make heat, I make sound. Shadows on the wall, echoes off the ground. City blocks and pickup trucks, I stack the crib with lady luck. Shutting down while the sun is still up. Another dream is feeling real enough. It's too damn easy to get stuck here beneath a plum sky. Do you believe real life, real life, real life?
going to be back. We're going to be back with them a little later, but next up we're going to have Adeline Rose, right? Adeline Rose play Addie Stry is going to, that's her stage name or your band name or something, and she's going to come up and play a song for us. But before we do that,
Judith Robert, and in the memory of our dear friend Tom Kepazinskis, and from the generosity of the Marshall County Community Foundation, the Indiana Arts Commission, Gibson Foundation, and E. Lee Marshall, you're listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
well, welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. We're here with Adeline Rose, and we want to talk with you, the producer of the one of the producers, I guess, of the Still Life, and with Humbird. And I would like you to tell me a little bit about this album you put together. That is of like demos or something. How did you come up with that concept?
Yeah, well, I think one of the most recent record that I released under the name of my own project is just kind of a collection of demos. I record a lot on like my iPhone, and then started using computer software to record just ideas on the fly. And when I decided to turn it into an album, it was hard for me to think of a way to recapture the magic from that first thought and the impulse when I was recording, and kind of the atmosphere too. Sometimes of like birds chirping or room sounds or even a bad microphone can have character. And so I just decided to collage all of these memos and samples into a record, and then sort of like write parts around those pieces as sort of like to supplement or fill out and make it cohesive. So it is demos, but also it is things recorded in my own studio, or like a bedroom studio.
Right.
So yeah.
So now this song that you're going to do for us is Perhaps, right? Is that the name of it? Yeah. And how did that come into being?
The song that I'm about to play was released as a single probably 6 years ago, and it kind of came to me one morning in a practice room at the university I was studying at. And I recorded it by myself in my basement very quickly. Yeah. And it turned out better than a lot of the things that I spend a lot of time on.
Right, and you have a little clip up on NPR with that, with this song, right? Mm-hmm. So you can hear it afterwards. It's beautiful. Or go to the web and see her do it right now.
Yes. And just taught this to the band about 25 minutes ago. So we'll see how this goes. I haven't played this in a while as well. But yeah, this is Perhaps.
He whispers, or perhaps is just careful with words. In my ear, perhaps it was a feeling I heard.
patient nights and rain at dawn, it would behoove me to let it soothe me till I'm done. I'm done walking round with this uncertain step. I need to learn to be alone. I need to learn to be alone. I'll feel what he means in a soft and subtle symmetry. In the cross breeze of the morning, perhaps, perhaps I'll give and receive in the season when he comforts me. In the cross breeze of the morning, perhaps, perhaps. Ooh. Well, I woke into the womb of night. Him walked in his arms, I'm alright. Oh, my movements are cooling down, but I need to learn to be alone. I need to learn to be alone. I feel what he means in the soft and subtle symmetry. In the cross breeze of the morning, perhaps, perhaps I'll give, I'll receive in the season when he comforts me. In the cross breeze of the morning, perhaps, 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 perhaps. He whispers, perhaps it was a feeling I heard.
Nice job, guys.
Adeline Rose.
Thank you.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from our hometown to yours, the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour presents our very own audience participation quiz show, Shoot the Moon!
It don't matter to me how smart you are. Maybe you're a big buffoon. You don't need to be quick on the draw. All you gotta do is shoot the moon. Shoot the moon. Shoot the moon.
And now, here's the host of Shoot the Moon, the original colonist of little used words, and an often chuffy, twistical, and gut-founded fellow of ribald jollification, Matt Scutchfield.
Thank you, Jacob, for that jollified introduction. While I call up today's contestants, would you mind reading the rules of this woefully contrived yet mentally challenging extravaganza?
Diddly that, Scutch. Prior to the show, audience members indicate their willingness to participate in Shoot the Moon by supplying an answer to this inane survey question. Are you now, or have you ever, been a student of behavioral psychology?
No.
And with that question answered in a demonstrably random manner with any number of attendant variables distinguishing the method a person might freely choose, or so they may deceptively think, in the affirmative, and as a result, be needlessly subjected to this further interrogation. Are you ready, willing, and able, to gently access your remarkable yet environmentally predetermined being in an often silly and self-deprecating manner in the futile attempt to answer a series of capricious and often ill-conceived questions?
Potentially.
And from a collection of audience members who have learned to push a button to ask for cheese and simultaneously answered in the affirmative, meaning in this very instant with the word yes. Exactly 2 contestants are selected to play Shoot the Moon. So now, let's play Shoot the Moon!
Well, thank you very much, Jacob, and welcome to the contestants. Here we have Doug and Meredith, all the way from California, right?
That's right.
So a few radio shows ago, we had, I think, a mother and daughter pair of contestants, but now we have father-daughter contestants. So who do you think will win before we even start? Who's going to win?
Oh, Meredith is much smarter than I.
All
I
right.
don't really know what you signed us up for, though, so I don't know.
All right. Well, we have 4 categories clipped to our employees-only board here, and these categories are either related directly or probably indirectly to the biography of this wonderful band on stage. If any of you know some hints, you can't say directly, but maybe give some facial expressions or something. That's up to you. We have here Python Invade Mill City, Snowfire, Ear to the Ground, or you have to be very careful with this one, Pucked Up. So out of those 4, we'll start. Doug, you're in position 1. So which category do you want first?
Well, I played hockey for over 20 years, so maybe pucked up.
Okay, well, that's actually what the question's about. So this is interesting that you picked it. Okay. Many people do not realize that Siri Undlin, a native to Minnesota, is one fierce hockey player. For those who don't know, ice hockey is a game played between 2 teams of skaters on a large flat area of ice using a 3-inch diameter vulcanized rubber disc called a puck. The contemporary sport developed in Canada from European and native influences. These included various stick and ball games similar to field hockey, bandy, and other games where 2 teams push a ball or object back and forth with sticks. The first organized and recorded game of ice hockey was played indoors in Montreal, Quebec, Canada on March 3, 1875, and featured several McGill University students. Many people do not know that before high-level games, the puck is treated to a very serious special process. Which of the following is the method used to up the puck? Is it A, microwaved, B, frozen, or C, polished?
Frozen.
That is correct. This puck is often frozen before high-level games to decrease the amount of bouncing and friction on the ice.
And impose big damage to teeth.
All right, so now we go to Meredith. I should take this down. We have 3 categories left. Which one would you like?
We're going to do Snowfire.
Okay. Find it here. Hold on. Let's see. I think you missed category. I think there's a typo here. I can't. Is this make one on fire? Oh yeah. Oh okay. All right. Here we go. This is a question I really like here. Emiliana Torini, born May 16, 1977, is an Icelandic singer and songwriter and also an influence of Siri Undlin. Is that correct? All right. She is best known for her 2009 single, Jungle Drum, her 1999 album, Love in the Time of Science, and her performance of Gollum's song for the 2002 film, The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. Near the end of an interview with Giovanni Gio Pilato, Emiliana remarks of her favorite alcoholic beverages. I have a few drinks of choice, truth be told. As a good half Italian as I am, a good drop of grappa is always highly appreciated. Here in Iceland, we have some excellent distilleries, and many know already our national drink. Which is that national drink? Is it A, Lagavulin, a single malt whiskey created on the South Island of Islay, B, Rabarbara, a rhubarb whiskey, or C, Brennivin, a type of aquavit, a type of flavored spirit flavored with dill or caraway?
The third one.
You are correct. You are absolutely correct. So we're halfway through. Jacob, how's the score so far?
So far, we're tied.
All right, well, let's see what will happen next here. Doug, where do we go next?
Well, let's go to, out of sheer curiosity, Python invades Mill City.
All right. Siri Undlin and members of her band hail from Minneapolis, Minnesota, which has also been home to many other famous people, including the Native American activist Dennis Banks, actor and environmentalist Eddie Albert, free radio activist and personality Alan Freed, and one of my favorites, Terry Gilliam, a member of the groundbreaking comedy show Monty Python's Flying Circus. He joined Monty Python as the animator of their works, but eventually became a full member and was given acting roles, and he went on to direct a number of interesting films. Which of the following films is not directed by Terry Gilliam? A, Back to the Future, B, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1998, or C, Time Bandits, 1981.
Which one's not directed?
Correct.
I'm going to say Back to the Future.
You're correct. That is correct. For note, it says other films include Brazil, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, The Fisher King, 12 Monkeys, The Brothers Grimm, Tideland, and The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus. If you ever saw the show Monty Python's Flying Circus, you might be familiar with Gilliam's famous animated foot that squashes everything it encounters. Okay, so we have one last category here. Ear to the ground. Suzanne Sundfør is a Norwegian singer-songwriter and a record producer admired by Siri Undlin. Sundfør is the granddaughter of theologian and linguist Kjell Artun, and she rose to fame in 2005 when she toured Norway opening for English singer Tom McRae. Since then, she's released 5 studio albums and 3 live albums and won numerous awards for her work. After an intense handful of years that saw her release 2 albums to critical acclaim and keep a grueling schedule that involved producing and touring around the globe, the Norwegian singer-songwriter bottomed out. She needed a break. That was when she took up another form of art. It was A, cabinet making, B, photography, or C, pottery.
Lifeline? Well, it's just pottery. Sounds like a
No,
nice
I'm
activity.
sorry, it
No?
is photography. She says, with photography, you have to listen to your surroundings in order to create a composition. It is a very different way of expressing yourself. With music, it comes from within. It takes a lot of energy. So, before we end, I'll leave it up to you. There is, today only, a bonus question if you want to leave it as a tie. Right now, it's you're ahead by 1. So if you want to leave it by a tie, we can go to...
Bonus round?
All right. So, the category The Rose Knows. Adeline Rose's album, Anyway, was recorded in bedrooms in Berlin and New York, and many of the songs have an intentional demo-like quality with spiraling woodwinds, washes of reverb, and unfiltered realness. It is produced, recorded, and engineered the bulk of the album by Adeline herself. In a recent interview after the release, Adeline waxed philosophic words about her work. Which of these is not a quote from that interview? Is it A, I always felt kind of like an outsider. For some reason, music always felt like it made more sense. B, there's a time and place for collaboration, and there's a time where you're just like, I need to make this myself, and that's the way it is. C, it's a little sloppy, but it's human. It's like a collage of time capsules. Or D, I ain't afraid to love a man. I ain't afraid to shoot him either. I didn't write these questions either. The author is George over there. Do you recall this interview?
Not at all.
Okay, well, so it could be any of these. So what do you think out of those 4 options?
See?
It's a little sloppy, but it's human. It's like a collage of time capsules. What do you think?
I think I probably said that, but I mean, can't confirm or deny.
Well, according to this paper here, you did say that, and the last quote you did not say, that was apparently attributed to Annie Oakley. All right, so Jacob, how do we end the game here? What's the final score?
Well, they both have 2 points, so it's a tie.
All right, and what happens here on Shoot the Moon?
Well, as a matter of fact, win or lose, everyone gets lucky on Shoot the Moon. Both Doug and Meredith have won a sticker, a big Wild Rose Moon sticker suitable for applying to one's appendix scar, license plate, chainsaw, or toaster. Congratulations, Doug and Meredith. Everybody wins when we play Shoot the Moon.
Well, right after the break, we're going to have more of Siri Undlin and Humbird.
With support from Judith Robert, and in memory of our dear friend Tom Kepazinskis, E. Lee Marshall, and from the generosity of the Marshall County Community Foundation, the Indiana Arts Commission, and Marshall County Tourism, you're listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Well, welcome back to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. We're here with Siri Undlin and Humbird. And Siri, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever been up to Hibbing to visit Bob Dylan's hangout there where he went to high school? You ever been up there?
I have been up there, not to visit Bob Dylan's house, but to play hockey, actually. They have a really good rink there.
And they have quite a high school. There's a New York Times article this morning I was reading about it. It was really quite interesting. They went back to Hibbing and they went through this high school. It's like a palace, apparently, because it was funded with mining money or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite a nice high school. It looks like a palace or a castle or something.
Gosh, I'll have to check
Did
that
you
out
know
next
that?
time I go through.
I had no idea.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. You've covered some Bob Dylan stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You covered, what was it, the song?
I often sing Girl from the North Country when
Right.
I'm far from home, just because it's like a little bit of like time travel and space instantaneous apparition back in where I feel at home. But yeah.
And besides Bob, you've also been influenced by John Prine, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. Another great songwriter.
Yeah, you have a song about you. You don't happen to be doing that song today, do you?
We could.
That'd be grand.
Okay, awesome.
Well, and
Yeah.
tell me a little bit. You were talking about John, and you were like in a room when John Prine songs come on. What was your quote about that? You know, everybody listens, right?
Yeah, I just feel like John Prine is a rare talent in the sense that he was telling stories that made sense to a lot of different people and doing so in a way that made a lot of different folks from different backgrounds feel seen and appreciated, and he also did it with a lot of humor. And I find that maybe even people that don't listen to a ton of music or it isn't necessarily a huge part of their life will stop and ask, who wrote that song or what's this playing? And it's John Prine. Just has a way of sticking with people, I think. Yeah, so we'll do this song. I wrote it on the day he passed away. It's called Pink Moon for John Prine. I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a big pink full moon hanging in the sky when that news broke. And yeah, I had a beer and wrote this song for him and just for that moment that we were all living through in the early days of the pandemic. It'll sound way better if it's in the right tuning when I attempt it. Oh, no, that's okay. I don't mind curveballs, usually, as long as they don't hit me in the face. But, those hurt, yeah.
Patience is a spell to cast. Mine never seems to last longer than a Midwest sunset wrapping around this city. I'm walking through a purple dusk, trying to clear the cobwebs and the dust of my own mind. God, I must have slipped into a slow rust. The pink moon rising to the east. Today I was not as kind as I set out to be. The pink moon, the bats swing down for bugs to eat. I'm so busy doing nothing, watching days melt into weeks. My friend is on the other line. She called to talk, instead we cry. The pandemic hit, her father died. Says the greatest gift she got was time. It's so hard to breathe with a tight chest, while gratitude makes dinner taste the best. I'm making new meals out of leftover food, so I can sit at the table and stare at you. The pink moon there between the trees. Now you're running like a madman to where the land and blue sky meet. That pink moon, it's splitting like a melon. It's sticky on my lips like secrets ripe for telling. Tomorrow I will try again. It's not breaking two, but simply bend with the wind and the rain and the dancing stars. Distant suns lighting up the dark. I suppose that's all anyone can do. And if you promise me, I'll promise you to revel in the beauty. Howl like a fool, raise my cup to the big pink moon. For you.
Revel in the beauty and howl at the moon. Raise my cup to the big pink moon. That's about as John Prine as you could get. That is just
thanks.
beautiful. Just like you're channeling John. You know.
Oh, wow.
It's just really fine work.
Thank you.
When we talked a little bit about your childhood, and you were telling me you were very influenced by your brothers, right? You had how many brothers did you have? You said
I have 2 brothers and a sister. I would say they all
the whole
equal
family,
equal
whole
parts
family.
influential.
So you were
yeah.
like already a team of some sort, or you could like
Yeah.
play against each other and all that kind of stuff. You had built-in fun.
Yeah, and terror. Built-in fun and terror.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's how it goes with siblings, right?
Yeah. So and when you're up, when you were doing all those things, what kind of games did you play? Like when you first, like when you were like 10 or maybe 8 or whatever, and you go onto the backyard. What would happen? Or did you have a backyard? Did you have some place to play?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We were really lucky to grow up in a place where we had space to run around and wrestle. One game that was fun is I like to hold my younger brother down and hawk loogies almost into his face, just like scare him. That was a fun one. But yeah, we also had, do you guys remember zingers with the rubber bands and the paper? Just kind of hide behind corners and just pick each other off when you least expect it.
Such a classic. Big sister. My sister did that to me.
Really?
Is that right?
I actually wasn't the zinger culprit. Like
The loogie thing.
The
but
loogie thing.
Nasty thing.
Yeah.
Eventually, my younger brother got bigger than me and let me know that that was no longer an option. But we also played a lot of make-believe games. We had like very elaborate characters, and I feel like I'm making it sound like it was guerrilla warfare in the backyard. But we also had a lot of fun and played a lot of games and just ran around outside all day. My mom had a cowbell that she would just stand on the front stoop and ring it really loud when we needed to come home for dinner. So, yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful way to spend the years as a kid.
Yeah. When you're writing, do you ever think about how you've got all these different voices of your family inside of you?
Absolutely. There's one song that we do that is actually like a direct letter to all my family members. It's called Postcards from Paonia, and each verse is written to a different family member. That's probably the most explicit, but we're all really tight, and I look up to my family members a lot, so they're absolutely part of everything, and they're very supportive. This music wouldn't be happening without them, so yeah.
That's great. Adeline and Peter and Pat, I really appreciate you all coming today to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour, and we would love to hear one more song with a little introduction if you've got it.
For sure. Yeah, we were talking about childhood, which is a pretty good lead-in to this next song. It's called Summer Storm for Charlotte, and Charlotte lived next door to Addie and I in the house where we made this record. But one thing that we haven't really touched on yet with you all is that this house is in South Minneapolis, and it was just a few blocks from where George Floyd was killed. So our neighborhood really transformed in a blink of an eye. It was a very humbling and challenging and frightening thing to live through, and there's a lot to be said about what we witnessed from our front stoop. But in the middle of all of it, all of the tear gas, all the rubber bullets, all of the burning buildings and the helicopters overhead, our next door neighbor Charlotte, who's 5, was learning how to ride her little pink bicycle in the back alley without training wheels. She was seemingly undeterred by the chaos unfolding around us, and that really struck me. So this song is for her, and yeah.
Charlotte, you're getting the hang of it. Look at you now, you're doing it. Charlotte, you're brave enough to admit what you want from the moment. So keep going, kid. The world may not have noticed yet, but I did. Charlotte, it's been a hard month. The noises in the night, we all slept rough. Charlotte, it's beautiful, isn't it? The moon on the rooftops, the silver light drifts. Sweet dreams, kid. I hope you find some peace while you're sleeping. quick flowers in the garden, the summer air sticks. Charlotte, you're bleeding at the knees, climbing up the windshield, trying to reach the storm front. It's coming this way, don't worry about the thunder, it's how the heat breaks. We're all wishing on the rain, maybe in the downpour things will change.
The hope-filled hearts of Humbird. What a graceful thing you've given us today. Wonderful, just beautiful music. Thank you so much.
With support from Judith Robert, and in the memory of our good friend Tom Kabazinskis, and with additional support from Marshall County Community Foundation, Gibson Insurance, Gibson Foundation, and E. Lee Marshall. You've been listening to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour.
Thank you, Jacob Moreno and Matt Scutchfield, our Shoot the Moon game show host, John Baylor, our music producer, Siri Undlin, and our Minneapolis-based band Humbird. Thanks to Nate Butler for his live mixing and recording and editing of our show. Also thanks to our stage manager, Howard Gibbs, our photographer, Matthew Bergmoser, our video and web producer, Jim Yoakum, Heather Gould, camera operator. Kudos to our sparkling hospitality team, Jennifer Reed, Cindy Davis, and Matt Scutchfield, our Moonlight Maker living out of Baltimore, Gene Pasterka. A special thanks to Martina Sam for her applause skills, and to my wife, Michelle Stricker, whose organizing acumen and undying support of the moon, its mission to me, has helped to keep the moon in motion these past 6 years. John!
Yes, George.
Are you willing to conquer the kinesthetic tribulations inherent throughout those neural matrices doth that informs your sonorous voice and your lugubrious lungs, conjoined in dynamic digitry, while dancing athwart the carbon-colored fretboard you call your music highway?
George, you knew before you asked that I was willing. So when you think you lost that life, oh, pain and heartache fill your soul with strife. Just remember, as you're tumbling down, it won't be long. The river goes round,
Oh, the river goes round,
around and around.
the
so much for coming to the Wild Rose Moon Radio Hour. Do we have any redos, Nate?
If we do, they've escaped my attention.
Okay. Well, I think you can do wonders in your editing room, so.
I'll cut all kinds of things
Yes.
out.
Okay. Leave the band. Just cut mostly me, okay? All right. All right. Thanks very much for coming.
Thank you, audience, for
Great
being
band.
amazing.
What? How about Humbird? Man, unbelievable. Okay. They'll be back tonight. Tell your friends. They're putting on a great show tonight.